They don't like it when I play meta. They don't like it when I play the rules. And not the game.
What rules?
Well, that's the point. You're supposed to break the rules, right? Break the rules the best. This is our first episode where I talk meta. When I say talking meta, a lot of the time we do try to keep the game fresh when me and Amber are playing in the game, but I do have a bit of a competitive side. I don't get to use that competitive side very much, and when I do, you guys yell at me. So I need an outlet. I need a way to talk about it. I need a way to think about it. I need a way to go on about it. So this is going to be my new show where every week I talk about metagame teams, metagame ideas, just the metagame of Heroclix and where it stands. The current metagame is in a little bit of upheaval, so I'm going to do my best until some official things are written down about the watch list that aren't just on their front page of their website. There's nothing in the official rule books or anything like that. So we'll do our best. Some of you guys in your venues may play under a different set of rules. What I am going to make sure I am clear on for the first episode here and for future episodes is that when I discuss things with regards to the rules and the combinations of the way things work, they are in conjunction with the rules as I understand them best, from the point of view of WizKids, etc., etc., etc. Feel free to post any questions, comments, concerns with regards to what I talk about down below. I'm opening this up for discussion and your ideas. And we're going to see where that goes from here. For the first week, I'm going to take it a little bit easy on myself because I didn't plan this episode out 100%. So I wanted to go with the easiest meta team to discuss. And I'm about to make a joke that's going to make no sense to people, but that's okay. Those of you who've been playing Heroclix for a while, the current dangerous metagame is the mystical keyword team. Mystical is the new mutant keyword. I'll take a second for you guys that got that to laugh and the rest of you to go, what? A little bit of history is also part of the show. Back around the time the keywords first showed up, mutant was a generic keyword. Now that was also in a time when generic keywords weren't yet a thing. So what ended up happening is mutant became very generic because a lot of characters started showing up as mutants. This is pre-House of M in the comic books, and this is around the time that Monsters and Mutations would have been the last. Was it Monsters and Mutations? Is that what it was called? Mutants and Monsters? Mutations and Monsters. I always get that backwards because Monsters and Mutations sounds better. That was the last set that had the mutant keyword in any kind of prevalence, and they realized that 90% of that set probably was able to receive that keyword. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Mystical is the dangerous team. There's a couple reasons it's the dangerous keyword. The first one is a good portion of the figures that have the mystical keyword also come with probability control. As you can imagine, if you play a theme team with mystical, you get your theme probs, but you also get these all-encompassing natural probability controls, which take no action tokens, aren't limited in their use except for, having the power and, one use per turn. So that makes these characters already pretty obnoxious. Secondly, a lot of them have either a power combination of mind control or psychic blast. The mystical keyword contains a lot of abilities that are just strong and make all the characters very cohesive. They work together very well, and a lot of them are very potent. Also very common to the mystical keyword, as I discovered by accident one day, and it really probably should have come to mind immediately, is a good portion of characters with the mystical keyword also have the Mystic's team ability. That makes them very difficult to want to hit. As you can imagine, having feedback after every shot that you take on your opponent is unnerving at best. A good example of this would have been Shumagarath, as a colossal one-man army in himself with Mystics. Depending on how many times you have to hit him to kill him, you're looking at taking an awful lot of damage from that guy. Now that's one of the things I want to get into with regards to the weaknesses, but that's later on in the game, in the show. What I'm going to talk about next is a good portion of the characters that do make up the mystical metagame. Now, this one's a little dated. Pre-watch list, Ghost Rider was on a lot of teams. Ghost Rider was also armed with the utility belt, though, and that was prior to the change to prep time based, again, on the watch list. I'm using the watch list as a kind of a template. What players would do, using this only 145-point figure, they'd add another 14 points. He's still under 200 points. He's less than 160 even still, even with a full utility belt. They'd prep time, give him +2 in flurry, and because of the heroes for higher team ability, basically, for under 200 points, you can get a lot of oomph in one shot with this guy. Now, granted, that's gone by the wayside to a degree, but Ghost Rider is still a very potent figure. You're talking about a figure with the transporter circle on his dial, with 4 damage with exploit weakness, which won't work with the transporter necessarily, but he's got 11 movement, which makes that an extra potent element. Plus 11 attack, again, very awesome with regards to attacking people, and still keeps his transporter attack at a 9, which is reasonable, not great. 9s can hit, 9s don't hit a lot, but, I mean, you're talking about a mystical team which has probability control, and you have leftover room in this. Also, something worth mentioning is I do think in the realm of 300 points when I'm talking metagame. This is for the high-level competition, which is... And basically, when I say 300 points is what WizKids built this game for. Anytime you pass 300 points, the game starts to get a little bit silly with regards to what you can do. That's if you focus on winning all the time. I mean, a lot of the games that you see me and Amber play at 500 points, I just kind of put some figures that I like on there a lot of the time and don't really go for a cohesion. And if cohesion happens, well, that's an accident most of the time. Most of the time. Other times I did kind of play. Anyway, so Ghost Rider is good, but he's no longer an uber part of the metagame. Loki has found his way in a big way. Loki is 100 points or he's 30 points. Now his 30-point figure is only a couple clicks, 2 or 3 I believe. 1, 2, 3. And he can take 3 clicks of damage. But he's got 11 movement with 10 attack. He's got Transporter, but he's got a trait where Transporter won't affect his attack value. That's pretty huge when you think about it. When you're paying 30 points for a character that's effectively got Hypersonic with 11 movement and 10 attack. 2 damage, not so great, but we're talking about a mystical team, which is very prevalent in the probability controls and the perplexes as well, sometimes on the same click. We're getting to that in a second. So yes, Loki's found his way into the team, both as a point filler and, you know, as something of a brick himself. Next up, this lady, I don't know how much longer she's got left in the modern age metagame, but this is the 75 point to 50 or 75 or 50 point Fast Forces Chaos War Scarlet Witch. She goes for herself now at $40-50. She has raised the price of this Fast Forces astronomically. She's an important element in the game, regardless of walling and keyword or whatever. At 75 points, she's got phasing, telekinesis, energy shield, Mystic's team ability, and she's got a white damage power that lets her use perplex and probability control. Just let that sink in for a second. Because, you know, both those powers are very potent for output. So, that said, you're already guaranteed with her on the board to deal at least 1 damage with her because she's got Mystics. So if somebody one-shots her even with her 5 clicks of health, guess what? They're taking a damage for it. Now, had her 50-point version, she's got Psychic Blast, Barrier, are you kidding me? And that same white damage power that gives her probability control and perplex on the same click. Wow, right? For 75 points, and because Mystic's characters are oftentimes very, very bargainable with regards to point value, she fits in most mystical builds. Can't argue with that, right? Very potent figure, very common to see in the mystical thing. This guy came in like a wrecking ball. This is Brother Voodoo, for those of you who can't quite, or aren't quite picking it up. Brother Voodoo is the prime Dr. Voodoo from the Amazing Spider-Man set. He is awesome. He's got a traded mind control that he can use as a free action, or he uses as a free action so long as he's got an action token. He's got a white attack power, which gives him smoke cloud and poison. And he can use smoke cloud for free if he's got an opponent adjacent to him. He's got a high defense and probability control, and his high defense comes with super senses. This guy is a bargain at 79 points. This is one of the exact reasons why prime figures you're only allowed one per team. It's this guy right here. That I've seen other prime play two in a team, and it's not very nice. So as you can already start to imagine, the mystical keyword's got a lot of characters going for it. It makes it very common to be played in the high levels of play. Another couple worth mentioning that I didn't bring downstairs because, well, I forgot to, and one of them falls into another keyword that I'm actually trying to bring into the forefront. That would be the Blue Beetle. There's one build that I saw make the metagame for last tournament, made the top 16, that had 2 Blue Beetles and the Scarlet Witch. Now, the Blue Beetle's got an amazing aspect to him in the fact that not only is he mystical keyword, he's got the Mystic's team ability, and he's got, for those of you who remember the ability Protected, those who don't, he's got an ability where when he takes damage that would deal 3 or more, he instead takes 0 and an action token instead. Wow. That's pretty awesome of himself. Plus, he's got probability control for himself or anybody targeting him. Very cool figure overall. Definitely worth mentioning because he has started to make a bit of a splash in the game, and he's made his way into some major teams that have been doing very well for themselves. Worth mentioning, mostly for the AVX metagame, is the Scarlet Witch from the AVX starter set, the Avengers side starter set. Anyway, she's got a cool defense power that lets her
annoying.
Yeah, gives her energy shield. It also gives her a reroll on anybody who hits her. And she's got probability control on most any clicks that she has that. So, basically, let's look at her on her 150 point dial. If you attack her, she's got energy shield, so she's got a 19 defense. Now, should you happen to get past that 19 defense, she's got probability control. Now, should you happen to get past that probability control, she's got another probability control based on the fact that you just hit her. Well, yeah, she's very awesome. I personally haven't found my way into using her just yet, but she's also got a trait that can cancel team abilities. There's a dice roll involved, but and it's a very likely outcome that she'll do it. But it does, but it does take a double power action. So, and she doesn't have any indomitable or willpower, but she's also got sharpshooter, and she's got precision strike and psychic blast, and she's very, very potent in the AVX metagame. As far as the Uber metagame, she's usable. I don't see her bringing out much. Yeah. So now we've talked about the mystical team and its strengths and its potent figures. We got to talk about now how to deal with this. Dealing with the mystical metagame takes some thinking, some tools, and some careful attacking. You've got to make every attack count, and you've also got to pick your targets. If a lot of time I've fought against high-end mystical teams, and what I end up doing is going for the low return figures last. And in addition, if they're just using the mystical keyword and they've got characters without the mystic team ability, you generally want to try to hold. Personally, I generally hold them last. A lot of people go for them first. If you go for them first, whatever they have left is now at kind of standing a little bit higher. You've got a better chance of taking out the ones without the mystic keywords first and still being able to handle what's left on the board, as opposed to the other way around. Now that said, there's another major weakness that I mentioned earlier, is that Mystic's keyword characters often have short dials. There's a few exceptions, because they're starting to hand out this keyword like, it's candy on Halloween. There's Colossi, multiple Colossin with it. I believe there's a Juggernaut with it. Thor just got it in the Avengers starter from the AVX set. So this keyword is getting handed out to a lot of figures, and not all of them are getting the Mystic's team ability. So some of them are making their way into mystical keyword teams. Others aren't. It's a flip-flop. So as a general whole, what you see show up on the 300-point metagame is the lower dialed, high output characters. Now, the beauty of that is that means if you hit them generally for 5, 6 damage, they're done for. It's doable. Don't even look at me like that. There are 300-point figures that have 6 damage. And there's figures that are less than 300 points that do 4, and there's lots of characters under that value that have Perplex.
That red She-Hulk can do 7 on her opening click.
There you go. We got a red She-Hulk from Fear itself. Now, granted, she's not going to make the metagame, per se, but there are characters that can, like, even high damage super strength characters in some cases can just absolutely manhandle one shot a lot of these characters. And, you know, when you kill a character and then take a damage for it, are you really losing? Now, that's the first episode of Let's Talk the Meta. I don't know if we're going to call it Let's Talk the Meta, or if we're going to call it the Metagame Mondays, or if we're going to Magic Meta, or Meta Madness. We haven't come up with a name for the show yet.
Name it for us.
No, don't name it for us. Amber will come up with a name, and we'll probably make a t-shirt, kind of like this one.
Yay, t-shirt.
So, hit the comments down below. Give me your mystical builds. Tell me how you deal with mystical teams. Tell me what characters you think I might have missed that could make the metagame. Make note that I am talking modern age, 300 points. So when you're commenting down below, take those things into account. As well, keep up watching the show. We're going to be putting out more and more episodes. Now we have both unlimited internet, a new awesome camera, and stuff to talk about. That was an awkward end. That was the worst ending ever.
Yep.